Every new collector falls for this at least once. And yes, even I did. The listing looks perfect, the price looks good, and the seller looks safe. But that's exactly how the scam works. So, in today's video, we're going to look at the 5 things that every buyer should be careful of to not get scammed when buying online Pokemon cards. So, these are all ones I've experienced personally, and ones I think a lot of people don't even think about that I think could help you. Don't buy cards where the background is all white. So let's pull up some eBay listings here. Hopefully I found some good ones for you. Let's see. Alright, this first card we look at is a Charizard card. Perfect example of what I'm talking about. So it says ungraded mint condition. I would not call that mint. Do you guys see what I'm looking at? So the edges are all tore up here. There's tons of whitening all the way around the edges. This can be something that's really hard to notice on your phone. So if you're looking at eBay listings on mobile, it can be very hard to see this. And the reason being is because the background's white. So at first look, if you're looking on screen here, that card doesn't look too bad. I definitely wouldn't call it mint. I might say lightly played. But when you zoom in and really look hard, I would call that heavily played, possibly damaged. Meanwhile, this person's claiming it's near mint. Don't know what kind of mint they've been buying, but I would not want that. So this is a good example of someone purposely using a white background to make the card look better. So to me, I will never buy a card with white background. I've done so many where I've even looked at cards, even once I said I wouldn't do that, and I'm like, this card looks perfect, it's good. It's because I'm just quickly scrolling, and then I get it in person. I'm like, dear God, what's wrong with this card? And then I'll pull up the photo of the card again on the app, and it looks fine. But then I tap it and zoom in, and it's the exact card. It looks damaged, even though I thought maybe they switched out the card. But no, cards with white background on the listing can really throw you off if you're not careful and really looking. Especially on cards that are like $15, $20. You're not going to spend 15 minutes analyzing the card. So that's something to look out for. Here's another example, and here's one that's not so bad. This is one you can tell maybe they didn't mean to do. They just kind of set the card up on their counter. And you can see as we zoom in, it's not awful, but if there was some whitening around the edges here, you would not be able to tell. There's even a little damage down here, a little white nick, not horrible. So this might be one where they aren't purposely trying to scam you. They just took a photo of wherever they could. The shadowing helps a little bit, but that's one that can really throw off your opinion on the card. Now, this is a great example of what I would look for to buy. So this is someone who's listed the Charizard card with a black background. So it's very easy to see any indentions, any damages, because it contrasts very well with the black background. You can see this card is probably the same condition as that first one we looked at, but it's way more highlighted, the damage that we're looking at. So always purchase your cards on eBay with a black background or something darker colored. Do not buy cards with white backgrounds. And this is our second tip. That is buying from sellers on TCGPlayer with 100% approval rating and certified store. That is the key here, is the certified store. And here's what I'm talking about. If we scroll down here on TCGPlayer, alright, it looks like I already got the example pulled up. What's going on here? There's one listing. Oh God, there's only one Mega Evolutions. Everyone quickly run out and buy everything. No, don't do that. Alright, so we can see here Gamma Vault. They're missing this little orange sticker. However, My Kid's TCG Addiction has this little star down here. They both have 100%. This little star people they get after they hit 100 sales, perfect rating, and they've also been on the platform long enough. So Gamma Vault, my apologies, on here, even though he has 100%, 5 sales, if he's scamming people, not saying he is, he could just be brand new, which if we look, he's brand new. Let's see his listings. He has a decent amount of listings, all relatively new things. So, not a whole bunch. So this is one that just looks like a new seller. I might be willing to buy something from him if it's like a $1 card, $2 card. Where something like the Mega Evolutions booster box, sealed honestly not as bad, because a sealed product, TCG will almost always like give you your money back if there's an issue, where like single car is more of an issue. But I typically avoid stores that are new. People say that's, gatekeeping, whatever you want to say. But for my own protection, I'm going to avoid a store that's new like this, especially for high dollar items. Small $1 items, maybe not a big deal. TCG's pretty good at getting your money back. And two, I'm not risking a lot on that. So I'll almost always jump down here to the first listing with the gold star seller, right? And I also would avoid any seller with anything less than 100%. So a lot of people don't know this about TCGPlayer rating. One, they get a 5-star rating if the seller just doesn't say anything. So if the order was okay and the seller just, I'm not going to put time in to comment, they give the seller a 5-star, which I actually kind of like, because that means it was a good sell, right? There was no complaints. They got their product, 5 stars, right? Where nothing's more annoying than having like tens of thousands on sale on eBay, and then you have like 30 reviews, right? On our eBay, we have tons of sales. Like I think we're in a couple thousands. Our old eBay even had tens of thousands, but we had like 100 reviews, and you just couldn't get people to review. That can be a tough thing to do. So I like that they automatically give them a 5-star review if there's no issues. However, they can also contact TCGPlayer and have bad reviews removed. I do not like this. Now, I get it. TCGPlayer will remove it if they see that the seller did everything in their power to make the buyer happy. So we've had a few instances like that where we sold a card. They're like, hey, this is not near mint. I wanted near mint. I'm like, my apologies. We'll get that sent out to you. I have another one near mint, and we'll even knock off 20% off the price. They go, no, I'll keep this card. I don't want a discount. I'm like, okay, what can we do to make this up? I am willing to even make this card free, because it's $20. They gave us a bad review. It was the first bad review we ever had. And they go, no, there's nothing you can do. And it was like, well, I'm willing to make this up. There's mistakes. TCGPlayer saw that we did everything in our power to fix it, that we weren't just leaving the customer hanging. So they removed the review and got us back to the perfect 100 again. However, I've also have had to leave bad reviews on people because I'm like, hey, I didn't get this item. They go, well, that's too bad. I'm like, okay, I need a refund. They go, I'm not doing that. I shipped it out. I can't guarantee everything will get to you. I'm like, you're the seller. That's your job. And they're like, well, too bad. And I've had to reach out to TCGPlayer, and they got me my money back. However, after like a day or two, I noticed they removed the bad review from that seller. It's like, what the heck? They didn't even try to fix the issue, and they were horrible and like rude. They cussed me out. It's like, why would you remove the review? And there's no real answer. So if someone has less than a 100% review, that really worries me, because it's like, how many bad reviews did you have? Like if I see someone with like 30 bad reviews, it's like, okay, that's not a good sign. That means they have to have an abundant of bad reviews. So always buy from a TCGPlayer seller who has a 100% rating, and also has this little certified star. So make sure always buy from a positive seller. Coming in at number 3 is one that I've made the mistake of in the past. And it's one that probably a lot of people won't hesitate to do. And that is start having conversations off the platform you bought off of. So let's say you bought something off TCGPlayer. Do not communicate through email with the person. If the person's like, hey, hit me up on the email, do not do that. By communicating fully on the platform, this gives TCGPlayer, this gives eBay access to the messages, and they can see the issues. Where if you do all the communicating off the platform, the seller can claim whatever they want. And if they did something to scam you, they're more likely to win that case. Where if you keep everything on TCGPlayer, you can say, hey, look, I was polite. I asked for everything. I said this, that. and they're more likely to side on you because they have all the evidence. But if you do it off the email, they can claim, hey, they agreed to exchanging this. I exchanged it. They didn't accept it. Yada, yada, yada. So always keep the conversation on the platform. TCGPlayer can be a bit tricky with this because eBay, when you're communicating with them and someone's like, hey, send me a photo of the order, you can easily do that. But TCGPlayer has no such feature. TCGPlayer, make that a freaking feature. Every other social media platform, anything you communicate with people, you can do attachments. You can send photos. Why is there no system for that? You're buying cards. You got to send photos to people. So all the time, if I have ever had an issue, someone will say, hey, send me a photo, right? And it's like, I can't. So I'll ask for their email. I'll send the photo to them. Now, this is where things can get tricky. And so one scam people will use is they will not respond back to you on TCGPlayer. One, TCGPlayer requires you to respond within a certain amount of time to the seller. I believe it's 48 hours. 48 hours. The same amount of time it takes for someone to go missing and then they can't be found. So 48 hours. So the seller could be scamming you by trying to drag out the process as long as possible, because after a certain amount of time, let's say that the money gets deposited in their bank account, they can just disappear off the platform and they got your money. So they can drag that out as long as possible because there's no real need to respond. You can hit them up as often as possible. They could be hitting you with a message like every 5 minutes. Every 5 days to 2 weeks, where TCGPlayer requires them to respond. And if they don't, TCGPlayer will step in and help you out. So one, that can happen where they drag out the process where you can't get your money back. So what I do is I email them the photo, but I immediately respond back on TCGPlayer and say, hey, I sent it. So now they got to respond. They'll usually say, yeah, I'll check my emails. Or they'll say, I got it. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me know what you think about it. They'll say, I will. Okay, how'd it look? So I will always keep responding. So if they message me, never end the conversation, because if you do not respond, they are not required to respond back to you. So I always respond back to them if I comment off platform, and that's only ever if I need to send a photo. I will not have any communication off the platform with them. So if I send the photo and they respond on the email, I'll immediately copy and paste it into TCGPlayer. Be like, hey, you said this through the email. Here's my response. So TCGPlayer has that record. I will not send anything else to them off the email. And if they push, say, hey, communicate with me off there, contact TCGPlayer. That's a big no-no. So do not communicate with people off the platform that you are purchasing off of. Mercari, eBay, or TCGPlayer. Now, this is one I think is way more common knowledge that I think most people know, but if you're a newer buyer, you may not. And that is, always use PayPal if you're buying from a site you're unsure of. For instance, if you've never shopped at Pokemoncards, we're very trusted, okay? We have great customer service. We'll respond to you. We'll help you out as much as possible. But if you've never shopped from us and you're like, oh, I don't know if this is a legitimate site, and they offer PayPal, use PayPal. PayPal will almost guarantee that you will receive your item. There is no, you can order and then they claimed it was sent, it was never sent. PayPal will track all that. They are one of the best platform credit card users at all that. You also don't get marks against your account, where like if you do a lot of chargebacks on your credit cards, they start looking at you funny. Where PayPal won't do that. They'll say, hey, tracking says it was sent, it was not sent. We easily see it was never sent. Oh, hey, we're seeing this was not the item. We were stepping in and intervening. We've seen you have all these other complaints. So PayPal is a big one. But it's not just using the PayPal. If I go to a site, let's say it's Pokestore Bulba Mander Shop. That sounds like a legitimate store for sure. And I hop on there. I add the booster box to my order. I add a couple packs. And then I take a look at the checkout. It says, okay, hey, save an extra 30%. I'm like, heck yeah. And then I go check out and it's credit card only. That really sketches me out. It's Venmo only. Yeah, even worse. Bitcoin only. Yeah, I'm out. However, if there's an option for using PayPal, I almost immediately will take the risk on the website. Because PayPal will almost ensure you'll get your package and will make sure it's not a scam. So PayPal really protects you if you're shopping online. So I heavily recommend purchasing with PayPal on any site you're unsure of. Once you hit something like TCGPlayer, eBay, Walmart, I'm not too concerned with, but local stores like an LGS, like Pokemoncards, PayPal is the way to go. And here's the secret. I'm a store. If you shop at Pokemoncards, I would rather you use PayPal. PayPal doesn't just protect you as a buyer, it protects me as a seller as well. So I actually prefer my customers using PayPal. I'm more sketched out when people use credit card and debit cards through other payment processing than PayPal. Almost any time I get an order on those other ones, I'm always checking to make sure billing and shipping's the same. I go through our security and make sure everything's up to date. If the item is not a PayPal order. So even as a store, I prefer PayPal. So a store that doesn't have PayPal is really a red flag to me. Now coming in at our last pick, this is number 5, and that is, if the price is too good to be true, it probably is. So time and time again, I'll get emails from people, I'll get messages on our social media and be like, hey, I saw this really good deal. Do you know this seller? Do you trust it? Hey, I got this deal on Facebook Marketplace. It's an Evolving Skies booster box for $120. Do you think I should do it? No, I don't think you should do it. Man, I can't even think of a simile for this. It'd be like being in a time of war and you're on the enemy's battlefront, and then there's just a bunch of chicks in bikinis holding banana fans, saying free food with a chest full of gold. It's like, how do you look at that and go, well, that's not a trap? It's a trap. It's a lie. It's a facade. They're trying to lure you in. And it's very interesting. The bigger the price difference, the more we will actually convince ourselves that it's okay. I think someone talked about it's basically the greater the payoff, no matter how big the risk is, we will talk ourselves into getting it, and that's okay, and everything will be fine. This is why a lot of people get gambling addictions, and they'll bet large amounts, because it's not the risk we think about the reward more. So here's a great example I got pulled up here. I couldn't find a good one right away. I just typed in Pokemon booster box, and this is a good example. So this is one that may not be a full-on scam, but it's listed as an English booster box, right? The stats under are Pokemon, so if you typed in Pokemon booster box, this would get, and of course they use Evolving Skies, a very expensive one. There's nothing that says anything other than that, but if you scroll down, it's about protective cases. So they're just selling you a protective case. And this is one that isn't that bad. But you'll also see listings for Evolving Skies for $120. You'll see in the photos that the packs are turned sideways. The packs are sharp. It's clearly a Chinese knockoff. And I'm not even talking about the good Chinese booster boxes. I'm talking about one of those fake ones. One of those ones you get off AliExpress. Now, there's also just the fact that sometimes people will take photos of a booster box and they're selling you the actual photo of the booster box. That's a scam. I know some people say they're fighting bots and stuff. Well, a mom who's trying to buy something for their kid might see that and purchase it. Do you think if they message that person, hey, I was just trying to buy a booster box for my kid, I didn't realize it was a photo, will you refund me? Do you think those people are refunding that money? No. They're taking it. Even though they want to say they're combating bots. It's a scummy thing to do because you're scamming. It doesn't matter who you're doing it to, you're scamming people. So if the price is too good to be true, it is, right? There's a reason there's a market price. Now, I'm not talking about small, like 15, 20% difference, a 15, 20% difference. Even that, I would be sketched out if the person has like 1,000 sales, all 100%. I might be a little bit more inclined to try it, but as soon as you hit 15 or 20% decrease in the market, that throws up some red flags for me. 5, 10, they probably just want to move it quickly. 15, 20, something's wrong with it. Either it's damaged and they didn't take photos of the damage, or You know, there's the small chance that they're just trying to fire sell to get rid of it. Possibility. But am I willing to risk that? No. So do not purchase things if the price seems too good to be true, because it is too good to be true, because we're in a market right now where everything sucks and prices are ridiculous. But guys, the market's gonna go back down, things will get better. We'll have a video on that coming soon. So if you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe so you can get the next video, how we're going to talk about how the market will start cooling down and how you'll notice it before it happens and what you can do about it. So subscribe, and I'll see you next time here at Pokemoncards.